In this episode of Mighty Car Mods, we are tuning the Honda Mini. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. We are, of course, rolling in our Mini, which is powered by a V16B, which is from a JDM Civic Type R. The car already has a road tune in it, but today is the day to throw it on the dyno and do some actual power runs.
This has been a long build, this one.
It's been
to get it to this point where it's like, you know, all done, well, mostly done. Is there anything else you got to do?
Well, the headlining's been done since people would have seen it last time. That was done professionally because you can see why. It's actually a very, very big job.
Because I suck at sewing and so do you.
Well, also, you need a glazier because all the glass has to come out as well. It's a huge job. But the Mini has been a huge project for us. And so I thought before we kick on and actually jump into the dyno, or jump on it even, let's have a look at everything that has happened so far.
This little car began its life as a JDM Mini Cooper that we imported from Tokyo. After initial stages of upgrading wheels and a sound system, we decided to attempt a challenging build by adding a modified supercharger from a modern BMW Mini. Our mate Miles was on hand to help with the build, and we wanted to run it on ethanol, a classic supercharger Mini on E85, and this would be a world first, so that's exactly what we set out to do. It was more work than we ever thought possible, and needed a community of hands and minds to make it work. Being the first of its kind, we had to make a lot of custom parts. We needed a custom tune, a custom exhaust, and custom parts that were built for us by GFB. With all that done, we ended up with around 50 kilowatts at the wheels, but I wanted more, so it was time to farewell the old A-Series engine and replace it with something much more modern. As our supercharged A-Series was removed from the car, it was getting replaced with this, a B16B from a JDM Civic Type R. This new version of the Mini would be the biggest job yet, but it would also result in the most powerful. We had to modify the car extensively, from the firewall through to the brakes and the subframe, and today we're doing the final tune.
So you might be wondering how we're driving to the dyno and how the Mini's been used so far. Well, one of the good things about something like the engine that's in this is because it's NA, it's way easier to tune in terms of worrying about detonation and pinging and stuff that's going to blow your motor up. Also, because that V16B is stock with a couple of small mods, it's not going to be sort of too far outside the realm of what, you know, Tuning Fork Scotty has tuned before. So you can load a tune in enough to drive it around. It might not be quite as aggressive, or it might not be as fast. Well, I don't think it'll be nearly as fast.
This has actually had a Wi-Fi tune. So while it was up in Queensland, which is like 1,000 kilometers away, Miles up there, Dos Fader, is obviously connecting via the intervals with Scott here down in Sydney, and then they've given the car a road tune over the internet. What hasn't been adjusted yet really is any VTEC things or how that's working. VTEC is currently turned off in first gear and second gear because it makes too much power for the amount of traction that's available. But today, via the Haltech that's in there, we're actually going to be able to get a very fine tune of like what the car does in certain gears, how much power it makes, and we have no idea. We've never seen how much power the engine makes. We know the engine looks new from when we were building it. It's still a bit of a mystery as to why, but Turbo Yoda was saying he does believe that the engine is brand new, even though it's from the 90s. We don't know why. But what we have been doing is the computer, like Terminator, has been learning, right, Marty?
That's right, yeah.
So how do we apply that learning to what we do today?
So much like Supergrams, when we finished that car and brought it back down from Queensland, that was kind of like a limp tune. It wasn't properly, didn't have its proper power curves and all that kind of stuff in, but what it is doing is it's consistently learning against a target that Tuning Fork is setting there and saying, I wanted to do this, and the car is consistently and constantly sort of figuring out exactly what it needs to adjust to get there. So today it's about applying those changes. It's also about, in a controlled environment on a dyno, seeing what the mixtures are doing, because you don't want to run it too lean or too rich. And importantly, it's also going to be fuel economy, man.
Yeah.
Because this is where you can fine tune it and go, cool, when it's cruising in a particular gear or whatever, it's going to get it right to that point where it's got just enough fuel, but not just piling it in running rich.
Yeah. And you know what I will say? I just thought of it because we're back on the street where we first drove it when it was supercharged.
Yeah.
This is the best version this car has ever been.
Yeah.
It's just running it on ethanol and supercharged. I know we were the first people in the world to do it, and yippee-yay, that doesn't mean you should do it. I wouldn't recommend it, certainly the way that we had it set up. But today's going to be fun. So we're heading down to Haltech. We'll meet up with Tuning Fork. We'll throw it on the dyno, see what kind of power it makes, and maybe, Martin, I'd like to find out, because I know it was a whole big secret, I'd like to find out about the previous power figures that I was never told about.
To see the difference.
I want to see the difference from where we were to where we are.
Mad.
So we're down here at Haltech, obviously, to do the tune of the Mini. We did have to move some other cars off. There was just a Skyline on the dyno, actually, but that's now been removed. The Mini is on there, and we're down here with the Legends, of course, and we're going to see what kind of power we're going to make. We're also going to have a look at any of the learning that the computer has done so far with its Wi-Fi tune, and then apply that to the tune that we do today on the dyno. So it's, as always, it's a very, very exciting day down here at the dyno. All right, so this is what we're going to do.
If you've been driving it every day, the tune's going to be pretty close.
Cool.
So all we're going to do is go in, have a look at all the trims, and then we'll apply them to all the main tables. It does the same for stuff like idle control. So every morning when you start it, it checks my target RPM.
Speaking of which, it does start every morning now, as opposed to your previous favourite iteration of this car, the supercharged and ethanol version.
My nemesis. Just didn't have enough ports in it, that thing.
But it does start every morning. I just thought you should know.
Fantastic. Lately, I've had a bit of a newfound sort of love for the Honda B Series, the K Series, 2 litres, 2.4s. This was a really good choice. They go forever, they don't break.
And they're fast.
And they're
fast.
They're
actually fast.
Aspirated, this thing will be really, really good. This car with this wheelbase and this sort of weight, definitely different to what I'm sure the Honda engineers had in store for this motor.
Cool. All right, let's get to it, man.
All right, make some noise.
It has been years in the making, and now we find out just how much power this little VTEC Mini makes. There you go.
Well, hello.
There you go, mate.
Hello, friend. It's been too long. It really has. Since we've hung out last.
It'll start now. You're going to love this.
Oh, I even love the noise of that starter motor. You know that
It's strong, isn't it? Cha-cha-cha-cha. And just
strong like Mitsubishi.
What?
What? Amazing. Oh, it idles down there. The little needle goes right down.
This is all digital dash now, so that it works with the Haltech. So these have been completely rebuilt. It was very expensive and completely rebuilt. So like digital odometer, all of this controlled by little servos and madness that's all running from down there. It's incredible.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Man, the whole car. It's just well done. Beautiful.
Well done, Miles. The old Dose Vader at AM. He's the guru. We're going for the big 100, mate. 100 kilowatts.
There's heaps of room in here, dudes.
What? What are you doing
here? I'm just checking out Scotty's laptop.
Hello, mate.
I can touch both sides of the car with my arm. Yeah, man. Hey, this is cool. There's heaps of space and you guys are making friends.
Yeah, it's great.
Pretty cozy.
We ready for a run?
You're going to do some tuning?
I think we'll do some bit of light load stuff and just make sure that we were sort of on the money, and then we'll just wind into it more and more and more.
Excellent, let's do it.
Make like a fork and tune.
What's your guesstimate? How much power do you think, or what?
I would really like 100.
100 kilowatts at the wheels would give the Mini double the power that it had when it was running on ethanol and a supercharger. So that is the number that I'm aiming for today.
No. You don't get off that easy.
Oh, you want some more?
I want a little bit more.
Really?
Man, if you go to the dyno and you get all the fun and everything's great, and then first pull you go, oh, that's enough.
Yes.
Come on, bro.
No, you're right. No,
Yeah.
I'm just playing with you.
Let's do it until we have problems.
Because of all the learning that the ECU's been doing while I've been driving it, the tune is actually already very close. So we're making some minor adjustments and then going for another power run. We've got 101.9 kilowatts at the wheels.
100 kilowatts.
The time. That's a pretty amazing guess. A little bit shocked, to be honest. Put timing in, no difference. Pull the timing out, no difference. It's pretty good. It's really good. It revs all the way out. There's no errors. There's like the best way to describe it. When a tune goes like this and it's boring, perfect.
With a safe tune, we've ended up with 104 kilowatts at the wheels.
Based on this build, can you give us some kind of comprehension of what that power figure means for this car?
The most important thing is with the Mini, the power to weight ratio. So this thing is about 700 odd
Around
kilograms.
700 kilos, yeah.
All right, so let's just call it 700 kilos and 100 kilowatts at the wheels. If you try and compare this to something like R34 GDR Skyline,
Yes.
so RB26, twin turbo, 6-cylinder, the king of street cars.
Yes.
It makes, whether you put one straight on a dyno, it'll make 210 kilowatts at the wheels, somewhere around there in factory trim. So standard.
Exactly double that.
So about double that power. Car weighs about 1,500 kilos.
Double that again.
So power to weight ratio, pretty similar. Keep in mind, it is about this curve, the shape of the curve. So we want as much area under the curve as we can.
Yes.
Makes it the most powerful car.
But in terms of the actual per kilo weight of the car versus power, what we're talking about is a package now that is actually closely comparable to a 34 GTR.
Same power to weight ratio. So this thing on the road,
Dude, you don't drive a GTR now. It doesn't make this car. I just got to interrupt. That is not a GTR.
I know it's not. I know it's not.
But it's the same power.
There's still room in the garage for the GTR one day.
That's true.
Anyways,
As you were.
sorry, as we were.
so no, you don't have a
I own
GTR.
a GTR now. It's so good. Anyway, sorry.
No, you don't have a GDR, but the power to weight ratio is the same. So
Yes.
this thing on the road, apples with apples, it'll be pretty quick.
Yeah, it'll be very quick.
Pulling weight out of a car is just as good as putting power into it.
Scotty, thank you for your
Pleasure.
time. It's incredible as always.
Good to see you, bro.
Thank you, of course, for watching, everybody. You can keep your eyeballs on the
Marty.
Faceballs. That's faceballs.com/MightyCarMods. Thank you to the Tuning Fork. Thank you to Haltech. And also a quick shout out to Miles, Dose Vader, of course, who helped make this build happen.
So there it is, after years of working on the car, now I think it's time to just enjoy driving it. That is until it's time to race a certain all-wheel drive Mira.
Now, before we go any further, I do want to say that I'm actually a reasonably tall dude. I'm around 186 centimetres, but let's just have a look down at what we're doing here to get the equivalent height, because I think it's fair to do that.
So if you're 186 centimetres, I reckon that there's probably
Another 30 there
20 to 25 centimetres of
of ramp.
height.